Hello, I am author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Kep Westguard Time Travel to the American Revolution series, and we've been talking a little bit about post-American Revolution in the few years after. So I mentioned that yesterday I was hiking here in beautiful La Jolla and saw this gorgeous cave, which made me think of pirates and how in 1785, so 2 years after the American Revolution, this guy, John Adams, is in London and he's trying to kind of figure out how this whole thing will be going forward with the English. Now that we're supposed to be, instead of a colony, we're supposed to be equals. And that is itself a major challenge. But of course, that's not the only thing he's going to have to deal with. And I also often think, having read his biography, that we were lucky to have this guy when we did. Anyway, another big problem is below us, the Barbary Pirates. So at the time, and actually, this went way back when I researched pictures of Barbary pirates. This is going way back, even beyond the 1600s. And the idea was countries would have to pay for protection. And so the British had paid protection money before. And since we previously had been a colony, we fell under that protection racket system. But now that we're independent, the Barbary pirates are now attacking American ships, saying you have to pay your own way. You can no longer, get by underneath the British payment. So Adams is told that he can spend up to 80,000 by Congress, but there is no money to be had. He's just sort of given this figure. So he tries to deal with this on his own, and he sees at a diplomatic function an envoy from the Sultan of Tripoli. And so he actually sits down with him, and I'm just going to read you. This is from the wonderful book, John Adams by David McCullough. So this is Adams writing. He says, "It is long since I took a pipe, but with great complacency I placed the bowl upon the carpet and smoked in awful pomp, reciprocating whiff for whiff until coffee was brought in. His Excellency took a cup, after I had taken one, and alternately sipped at his coffee and whiffed at his tobacco, and I followed the example with such exactness and solemnity that one of the two secretaries cried out in ecstasy, 'Monsieur, vous êtes un Turc.'" So basically, all seems to be going well until he says, "Unless you pay, there will be no peace." And Adams says, "Well, we're not at war." And the envoy, the person that's sort of like a diplomat from Tripoli, says, "Unless we actually have a peace, we are at war." And of course, by peace, he means a payment. And then the next day, he tracks Adams down and makes a pretty serious threat. He said, if the treaty is delayed, and by treaty, again, we're really kind of talking about an agreement to pay, it will be even more difficult. A war between Christian and Christian was mild. Prisoners were treated with humanity. But, warned His Excellency, a war between Muslim and Christian would be horrible. So now Adams is feeling like he doesn't know what to do. And so he asks Jefferson down there in the other corner, who's in France trying to figure out things himself. And remember, in yesterday's video, I mentioned Jefferson's dealing with a lot of angry French officers who helped the United States and yet have not themselves been paid. Because needless to say, there is not a lot of money in the American colonies now to pay pirates and French officers, not to mention, at one point, Adams says, "I'm not even sure you and I," meaning him and you and me, at Jefferson, are going to be paid. So Jefferson comes, and they all meet with this envoy. And at the meeting, they are told, I'm just going to kind of summarize this, that the lowest price, the absolute lowest price that would allow peace with all the Barbary states would be 200,000 to 300,000 guineas. And all that Jefferson and Adams could say, they said it was too much, they couldn't afford it. And finally, they just say, we'll talk to Congress about it. And that's where we leave off today. Anyway, thanks for letting me share, and I will talk to you again soon.